Thank you. Well, welcome to you all being here today. So this is going to be a test for all of us because I've never done it like this before. But one of the things I want to explain to you, it isn't really a test. So it's just about giving you a glimpse of how I do psychometry, and we talk about the different clairs and how these different symbols and signs that can pop into your head will go together. Normally, if you were with me in person, we would, I would get you to put something, you would sit in a circle and we would have like a bowl, and I'd get you to put a piece of jewelry in there, and we would then pick a different piece out, and then we would read it. Of course, we'll do a meditation first, and the other thing is we need to work out which hand is your dominant hand. So I've done a little slideshow to talk about the different clairs that we'll be using throughout today and how they'll come together. And the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, is write everything down, because sometimes when you pick up information at the time you think it's silly and it doesn't make any sense. And the thing is, if it's not your item, it may not make sense to you. It's more a matter of how it makes sense to the person who's the owner. The other thing about it is you might see things, you might smell things, you might hear things, you might taste things, it'll come in all different ways. You might get light bulb moments, you might just see a color, it might be just a gut feeling. So don't worry, just whatever it is, it's an important part of this journey and just sort of working with spirit. So sometimes when you do this, you can actually communicate with a deceased person. So I have found over the years that this can open you up to mediumship. So it's another part to go along with this tool. I've got 3 items that are in the PowerPoint today. So that they'll be reading 2 objects. One will be a medallion, one will be a ring, and the other one will be a photograph. And I'm not going to make you sit there for half an hour to do it. It's more just to see quickly what you get. And the thing is it's practice, practice, practice. It's more fun when you've got someone to do it in the room with. So, sometimes it's good to practice with friends. But that being said, once you start to do that, you don't want to be like what happened to me very early on in my time of doing this. And, you go to a barbecue and you've got all this jewelry being thrown at you on the table, and it's like, pick me. And then in the end, you become the sideshow. I mean, it was good practice, but in the end, I couldn't go anywhere without having people just throwing jewelry at me. And my husband kind of said, can't we just go out and be normal for change? So that was being a fun part. But it was a very experimental thing. And I think one of the things is too, I've got these cards that I released last year, and they're called psychic symbol cards. And the reason I'm showing you this, it's not to say you have to get my cards, it's more to show I built a psychic encyclopedia through working with spirit. So, when I see a tree or a tree of life, I know that that's growth. So I have these symbols that I see. I'm not saying you guys have to have the same symbols. It's just to give you examples how I see things. For example, coins or pennies from heaven. It's a bit harder now. We have EFTPOS machines. But, or we do tap and go, but you might find a coin in the house, or it might be in the car. Or I know when I've done readings for people, they've lost a loved one and they might find 5-cent pieces when they're making the bed, or they appear in unusual spots. So that can be a sign or a symbol from above. I have a really weird one here. I'll just try to pick it out. So I have this one, and people ask me, what the heck does that mean? So I have a bag of marbles. And so that sign to me, when I first started to see it, I thought I was losing my marbles when my guides were showing me this information. But when I started to tune in, because sometimes you'll find once you start to do this on a regular basis and practice more, you'll start to get similar symbols. And it's like, well, it's a different person. Why am I seeing the bag of marbles? Or why am I seeing a juggler? Or these are just my examples. Or why do I see a new baby? Or, like here's my juggler. So I might see someone juggling and trying to do too many things at once. So when I see these sorts of things, there's an indication that the person's making decisions. The bag of marbles, for instance, it means someone's a little bit scattered. So I'll put it up to the camera. So they might be being a little bit scattered. Sometimes if you have a loved one who has died of dementia or Alzheimer's, or they have that condition, or the person themselves, that's the bag of marbles, because they'll show me the marbles with the balls, the little marbles dropping out. So it's kind of like they're losing their marbles, so that's my way with my guides. But like I'm saying, doesn't have to be your way. So I think once you write things down, and just the most important thing, write the journal, write the date, and if it's a drawing, draw it. If it's a number 8, you might get number sequences. I do a lot with numerology now too. So sometimes you might have different modalities that will all work together. You know, so there's no wrong or right way of how to do this. You might find that once you start to do this, your ear might start to ring and you start to have tinnitus coming in, but then you might hear a frequency come over the top of that. Other times you might get a smell. So it might be, you know, someone's, you're holding someone's piece of jewelry and their deceased grandmother comes through and she used to use cetyl hairspray, or she used to smell like lavender. Like the other day I did a reading for a lady and her brother had suicided. And all I could see was him holding up these dirty socks. And he was showing me the socks. And I said, I don't know. I said, oh, did he have smelly socks? And she said, no, I'm actually wearing his socks right now so we could connect. So that was, for her, that meant something. And here I didn't want to say, oh, did his feet smell? But, you know, for her, that could be another kind of a sign. So it's just a matter of trying to work out what your spirit team's going to do and how you're going to discern things. And like now I'm tuning into you now, I'm getting absolutely freezing. So I'm getting goosebumps all over me. So that can be another indication for me from spirit when they're coming through. So just start to write these things down and you'll find sometimes the information will come through to you and you can relate to it as a personal experience. It may be, you know, how you felt when you lost a loved one. So you feel that sadness and anguish. The thing is too, before you do any of the, do any readings with psychometry, always protect yourself. So I will put you through, we'll do a little meditation too to get your hands activated. And I want to show you some exercises on how to get them, your hands sort of warmed, you know, sort of get them tuned in. But always when you finish reading anybody, you always make sure you break contact so you don't have that energy around you. So for me, I would wash my hands, you know, to break contact. It's up to you, whatever it is. You might have a pendant you touch or however you want to disconnect, because being doing this sort of work, it can actually attach to you, or you might feel the pain in your body. You know, I know a lot when I've had someone, especially on murder cases, I'll feel it in my body. So it's a matter of disconnecting from that. Now, if anybody wants to ask me any questions throughout the presentation, just go for it. I don't mind. Hopefully I can answer what you'd like to know. But I'm just going to sort of start off. I've just got a little PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to get that to sort of just come up. So now here we go. The psychometry. So it's sort of like a whole new adventure that we're on. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, so what is psychometry? It's learning to see, sense, see and feel impressions through your hands. And it's also a doorway to mediumship. And I'm sure many of you have already done this sort of thing and experimented with it before. Now, there's the psychic clairs that we will be working with that are all part of psychometry. So psychometry is also, it's clear touch, so it's also called clairtangency. So that's the main thing we'll be focusing on. But the other psychic clairs will start to work with this. So you may have your clairvoyance coming through, which is clear seeing. Clairaudience is clear hearing, clear feeling, so clear sentience. Clear empathy, so that can be in our heart and our emotions. Claircognizance, the light bulb moment. And the clairsalience is the smelling. And clairgustance is tasting. So sometimes you might pick up somebody and you might really feel like you really want to have some Kentucky Fried Chicken and you don't know why, but that person might love that, or it might be you, their grandma did a really great baked dinner, or you might go to a location where certain things used to exist. So whether you're in an Indigenous site, you might taste fish or shellfish. So, you know, sometimes it can be connected to what is going on in the area that you're visiting. So this is just a little bit about the clairs. So we can give you the PDF of this later if anyone's interested. But so the clairtendency, it's about touching. So when we're going to be working, you know, watches, rings, photographs, antique items, it's usually, it's going to be a little bit harder today because I don't usually want to give you an antique item to start with. But because I was trying to give you something with a vibration that was going to be stronger today, so there is something that's going to be an older thing. But when we start to hold on to these things, it's a matter of trying to feel who the owners were, what they did before, you know, where did it come from? Was it a gift and things like that? So, but yeah, the clairtangency is the main thing we're going to be focusing on, which is psychometry. So clairvoyance is clear seeing. So we see that through our normal senses, but just remember if we see these signs and symbols, and you may see beings or go into other realms. Sometimes when my clairvoyance starts to open, it's like my third eye opens up and then I start to have like a, it's almost like a velvet void, and then I more or less step into like a video and watch a video of the person's life or the surroundings. It's not always for me though all in sequence. So I might see just little flashes, and then it'll move on to the next thing. So I explain it as like playing charades. So sometimes I've got to grab onto that information or ask my guides to slow down and show me what that image is. I know sometimes when I do a reading, and if I don't pick up the information immediately, then my guides will show me it again. And it's almost like they'll rewind the video, show me again until I get it. Yesterday I did a reading for somebody, and his wife had passed away, and she kept showing me these photographs, and it was over and over the photographs. And the husband said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "She's just going on about the photographs." And what ended up happening was that he had a new partner, and she had sneakily thrown all the photographs of his deceased wife out, and he'd only just discovered it. And then that actually split up because of it. But then it all made sense. So the poor man, his wife knew that this woman had thrown out these photos. So it's funny how information will come through to you. So clairaudience is hearing beyond the normal senses. And we do have our normal 6 senses. But then I know that I've got clairgustance and clairsalience as the extra 2. They're not as major as sense, but they do work hand in hand. So with the clairaudience, you may have tinnitus, you may not. It could be something that you have constantly, or it might be something that comes in with spirit. When you also hear, you might hear externally, so you might hear someone talking outside of your ears, or outside of your head, or you can have it internally. Sometimes it can just be a word or words that pop into your head. I find for me, even if someone doesn't speak English, I can still pick them up, and it'll be just more a thought, and I'll understand it. Sometimes I'll hear accents, sometimes I'll be young, old, male, female, and for you it's a matter of how you work with your spirit guides and your spirit team. So you might even hear it in your spirit guide's voice. I tend to find the information that's not of me is not in the expressions I would use. So I get a lot of parables, and lately I'm getting a lot of information coming through songs. So I might hear a line in a song. So just be aware and write everything down, and then you'll start to work out how you and your team's going to work with you. The clairsentience is the clear feeling, which is and it works with our solar plexus, or gut feeling. And the clairempathy is more to do with the heart and emotions. And this one's a hard one because we can't always control this one. Sometimes if we're an empath, we really need to be focused on protecting ourselves, so that when we go out, especially at the moment, there's a lot of emotion around, especially with the lockdowns and just people being fearful. So being an empath, it can be very draining because we end up feeling everyone else's emotions. So it's really important to white light yourself and expand your aura to make sure you don't feel that emotion. Claircognizance is the odd one. It's sort of the light bulb moment. So it doesn't really come. It comes from a higher self. It just appears. And sometimes you're thinking about something, that idea just pops into your head, and you kind of think, oh, where did that come from? But it's still a very important part of what we get. So the clairsalience is about the smelling, so the fragrances, odors. I find when spirit arrives, especially when I'm in a haunted location, that I get the smell. It's almost like a musty smell, kind of like the smell of under your house, that sort of dirt kind of smell. So that's something that I will pick up. I'm not sure how you guys will pick up, but it's more when that's a ghosty energy. When it's a spirit energy or a guardian angel or a loved one, it can be more like the fragrance of a nice smell, like their perfume or aftershave. I always believe everybody has their own smell. So whether they use it, certain perfume, or it could be washing detergent, but the ghostly images on my personal level is that it smells a bit like dirt or a musty smell. A bit like if you go to a second-hand shop, say to Vinnie's or something, it's that sort of smell. So be aware when you get that type of thing. And the clairgustance is that you can taste something without it actually being in your mouth. Okay, so understanding your gifts. We're all born psychic, and we all have these abilities. So we would use most of these abilities every day. We'd use at least 4 of them on a daily basis. So part of this is now about seeing what your visions are, your signs, and your number sequences. If you're someone who gets into numerology, I find my team will start to work with me, and I'll tune in normally through the psychic realms. But then I might start seeing a number 1 above someone's head, or I might see 22, or I might see a 7. And that usually indicates to me what their numerological numbers are, or what year they're in. So when I work out the numerology, it's kind of funny. It's almost like they say to me, well, I already told you that number. Why didn't you trust us? But I still need to have proof of things. And also too, the reason I put this image in, it's much stronger when we work in a group, especially when you're in a circle. So hopefully we'll get to be able to go back to that one day. And again, don't forget to write everything down, no matter how silly you think it is, just write it down. And this is the dirty spiritual word for me. It's like the swear word, it's patience. So you really need to be patient. You need to practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And look, there's no right or wrong way of doing things. I think the hardest thing is we doubt ourselves. And it's hard when you're doing a reading for somebody, and then when you say something to them and they go, no, that's wrong. You're definitely wrong. Don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes that can put you off and make you shut down. Or if you've got a client sitting there with their arms crossed and the body language, shut down, I find that can shut me down as well. I think sometimes you need to slow down when that happens, take a deep breath and just sort of just realign yourself and ask your guides, because sometimes people get psychic amnesia and they don't always remember something. And then later on, they go, oh my God, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, because you're just the messenger, that's the thing to remember. It's not, you're the vessel that's bringing this information through. So these are just some little guidelines. So, always protect yourself with white light, and you can't rush the journey. I have a lot of people say, you know what, I really want to see everything right now, and I want to hear it all now, and I want to do this and I want to do that. But I always say Spirit only gives you as much as you can handle. And sometimes, if we try to rush the journey, then we don't always learn all of the lessons. So it's really important just to take your time. I find when I'm angry, I can't get anything, or if I get frustrated. So it's just trying to believe in you, and you are the messenger. That's the thing. Don't, and it's trying to discern how that information comes through to you. I find sometimes people, they let their ego get in the way. I mean, it's a privilege you're working with Spirit and being able to give this information through to other people. So I think sometimes I found some mediums get too caught up that you have to do it their way. And that's one thing I want to reiterate today, is that it's not about you being right. It's not saying I'm not the expert in this. You will become the expert in your own way of doing it and with your own team. So I find it hard when people say you have to sit and you've got to meditate for 2 hours, or you have to do, X, Y, Z, or you can't do this. That's not correct. I don't know who wrote the book in the first place. I think it's more a matter of you learning how you work with your team. So I think this is all part of it. It's more a matter of today just sort of giving you a glimpse, and then you go off and practice, and then, talk to your guides or guardian angels and ask them things. I know when I first started in a circle, and one of my guides came through, it was a really unpleasant experience because he was very, very hot, and he made me feel so uncomfortable when he would come through to me. I couldn't concentrate. All I felt like I just wanted, to get a fan or get outside in the cool, because he just made me feel uncomfortable. It was only when the lady who was in charge of the circle said to me, have you thought of asking your guide just to shift his energy and to turn it down or to change it? And as soon as I did that, then we were fine and we could work together. But you've got to remember, your guides on their side, they're trying to give you a frequency or an energy that you'll know it's them when they come through. So just if there's anything that you don't understand or you don't know, ask them to show you again, or to show you in a different way, or to give you it through a different clear. So if you don't understand hearing it, maybe seeing it, or if it's better to get it as feeling. So work with them that way. Now, learning to understand the signs, there's going to be lots of signs and symbols and sequences and things that come through. You might be driving along and then you'll see a car in front of you and there's a number plate and there's a number sequence. It might be 1, 2, 3, it could be 11, 11. Or you might have somebody you're thinking of and there's their initials on the number plate. Or it could be everywhere you go, you see that name. I had a beautiful client who unfortunately he suicided, and his name was Tom, and I was really, really upset after he passed because I felt like I couldn't save him. And probably about the 2 months after he passed, everywhere I went, every car seemed to have the Tom number plate, but they weren't the same. They weren't the same colour. So there was Tom red and white, and there was Tom blue and white, and Tom black and white. So, or I'd go somewhere and there'd be a song and they'd have Tom in it. So they'll come through to you through symbols and signs that way. I already said about getting angry or frustrated, because that can inhibit your progress. And like I said, they'll only give you as much as you can handle, but try to be calm. If you find you're not connecting properly, sometimes it's good to get out in the garden, go for a walk or do a meditation, you know, just calm down. And it's funny, when you're not thinking about it or trying too hard, you'll find you get signs and symbols all over the place. But when you try and force it, it'll block the flow. So meditation is a great way to work with spirit. I have to admit, I'm not a great person to just sit and meditate. I find if I do meditate, I need to do a guided one, or I can do it through going for a walk or sitting down at the beach, or even at the gym, because I don't think about what I'm doing. I'm just sort of, my mind will wander that way. Or again, I've said before, the shower is an area where I get a lot of information. I just think it's a bit sad if they have to come when I'm in the shower, but anyway, water's a great conductor. So that's one of my ways. And it's also, it's sort of, I feel quite calm and the flow seems to work better with me. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to just get you to sit yourselves in a comfortable position. Sorry, I haven't got any music to go along with this, so I didn't think about that. But so I just want you to sit quietly, make yourself comfortable. And I want you to gently close your eyes. And I just want you to slowly breathe in. So wait till you're ready. So as you do this, I want you to visualize breathing in positive, uplifting energy. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that you're exhaling any negative emotions or any worries that you may have around you at the moment. Now, once again, breathe in positivity and light. And exhale any negativity that you may still feel that you have in your frequency. Again, breathe in the light and just exhale any residual energy or anything that's just sort of still there, and just sort of feel that floatiness starting to feel nice and calm and protected. Now I want you to visualize a beautiful bright white light surrounding your entire body. And in your mind's eye, watch as this light expands to make you glow from its brightness. Visualize this protective white light entering through your feet, and watch as the light slowly moves up to your base chakra. As the energy reaches your base chakra, it turns to a brilliant red. Watch as the light continues to move up through your body and it reaches your sacral chakra, which is turning a bright, brilliant orange. Now the light continues up and it reaches your solar plexus and it's turning a brilliant yellow. Feel the energy filling your body and continuing to move up to your heart chakra, turning a brilliant green. Allow the energy to progress and move up to your throat chakra, turning a beautiful blue. As you feel the energy moving along your body, notice if there are any blockages that you may need to spend more time on. Is there any resistance? And if there is, visualize the light cleansing and clearing the blockages away. Now visualize the energy turning or moving up to your third eye, turning a brilliant indigo. Now spend a little bit of time here because we want that third eye also to open so it will actually connect through your hands. Now continue with the energy and reach your crown chakra and it's going to turn a brilliant violet. Now really feel that energy filling your entire body with its cleansing purity. Feel the energy expanding throughout every part of your body, allowing you to be reconnected to your inner self. Focus that beautiful light moving through your body and visualizing flowing up and down along your arms and reaching your hands. Feel that energy flowing through your palms and your fingertips. And watch as the light radiates through them. You'll feel that energy start to flow. You may even start to feel your hands warming up. Visualize placing both your palms together, and then visualize pulling the palms apart and see a ball of energy forming between them. Now feel this glistening ball of light moving between your hands, and watch as the energy between your palms grows bigger and bigger and bigger, so that the ball of light grows and molds into different shapes as if it is putty in your hands. You may even visualize lightning bolts of energy coming from within the ball. And this ball gives you the knowledge that your hands are charged and ready to begin your psychometry work. Be settled in the knowledge that you have what it takes to be connected. Now watch the ball of light, feeling the connection growing within you to the spirit realm. You are given confirmation from above that whenever you need to make a connection via psychometry, the ball of light will appear in your mind's eye. So remember what the ball of light looks like and focus on what colour it radiates to you. Remember what it feels like to have the energy flowing through your hands and your palms. Record this vision and feeling within your mind's eye for future connections. Now sit quietly for a few moments and feel the difference within you. Now in your own time, gently bring your awareness back to the room you are sitting in. You now have the awareness to feel and tune in via your hands. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Your affirmation is, I allow the energy of light to flow through me. I feel uplifted and guided by source energy. I utilize the guidance and assistance from my guides in the spirit world to enhance my gift of psychometry. All messages I receive will be utilized to be of assistance to others. Okay, now I'm just going to stop the share for a moment so I can get back here. Now, have any of you felt any changes, or did you feel anything when you were there? You may wish to also, you can also do it physically now. So you can actually put your hands together and rub them in and just sort of start to feel the warmth within your palms, and sort of, it's like, I find for me, it tends to sort of appear in the middle of my palms, and I find too, it's a bit hard trying to do it, I'll stand up. So I tuck my hands in like this. It's really good for winter time. So tuck it in and start to feel the energy start to flow in there. But when you start to move them, you start to put them together and slowly pull them apart, and then you may start to feel that there's a little bit of resistance when you put the energies back, your hands back together. Do you feel there's any heat radiating just start to come out of your palms? Yeah, so with more practice, and it's not like it's going to happen in 2 seconds and it's just like, right, you're doing it, but just start to practice with that, and you can start to feel, it's almost like putting a magnet where it will repel and attract. So just start to feel it, and you'll feel when you pull your hands apart too far, because then the energy will go cold, and you push it back in again and you might start to feel it again. So it's just something just to start to play around with, I find for me, I get very cold hands. I've got Raynaud's disease, so my fingers go numb quite a lot. So for me, it's pretty good. I can get it to warm up. But normally, if you're going to have something in person, you would be doing that. Then you'd be putting it in. Now the thing is too, and I haven't got anything to give you physically through here, but sometimes if you put something in your hand, even if you have an item, if say you had a coin or something around you now, if you put it in your hand and you shut your eyes and just see which hand, like you put it in your hand, hold it, and then sort of shut your eyes and think, okay, I'm getting an image here, I'm feeling a warmth, or I'm getting nothing in that hand. Generally, if you're right-handed, your right hand's the receiver, and then vice versa. But it depends how you feel. So maybe the other way, but I tend to find it's my left hand, but I do play with things and I put it back and forth. Try to be mindful if you get fine chains, don't be like me and play with it too much and get it all into knots and have to try and get it out before the person sees it when you have to give it back, which is a bit of a pain. But yeah, just trying to sort of just, start to practice with that. If you had a person with you physically in person, a good exercise is to sit someone opposite you, and you can put your palms up to that person, and you can actually read each other that way. And I find that's a very good way to connect with someone. Otherwise, you would have a piece of jewelry, which I'm going to give you one in a slide in a minute for you to have a look at and sort of see what you get from that. Sometimes there's flower reading as well, so sometimes people will use flowers. Has anybody done that before? Have you tuned into a flower? It's usually, after reading about it, other ways people do it, like when I do it with clients, I will just pick flowers from home and I'll just put them in a bag and I'll let them pick them, and then they will hold the flower, and then they'll hold it for say 10 minutes, put it back in the bag, and then another person will read it. And that's usually pretty it's interesting the information people will pick up, but they do say that the type of flower you pick also is connected to the type of feelings and connections that you've got. But I always suggest to clients or students not to pick a rose, because, you know, unless you just pick the head of it, because otherwise you're going to get a handful of thorns, you know, or if something's a bit hard. I find some of the softer flowers pick up things better, like, you know, a gerbera or a daisy or something like that. And with when it comes to the photography side of it, well, I'll put the slide up and then I'll talk to you about that then, if that's okay. All right, so we've got, so it's just talking about your receptive hand and, but experiments, I've just spoken about that. Okay, so this is going to be the first object to read. Now, I don't expect you to have all the answers to all of the questions. You might get some things, you might not get anything, because it is difficult because you can't hold this item. So these are just sort of questions to sort of give you an example of how you may want to conduct a reading with someone. And I think one of the things that I haven't pointed out, it's really hard when you do have an item and you feel something negative, you know, or you feel there's a death connected to it, or if there's illness or heartache. So that's a hard one. I feel you always have to be very careful of things. Like when you're doing a reading, I always don't, you know, you try not, you don't want to predict someone's death. You know, I think that's not a useful thing. But I find if I might feel some health issues, I might say to the person, or the person who's connecting through spirit, they may have died of a heart attack. And you know, if I'm seeing it's a person in spirit, I'll say, oh, well, did they have any heart issues? And you can ask that, or have you been having any pain in your heart lately? And if they say yes, then I just advise them to go to the doctors and seek medical advice. One of the things I forgot to put in this slide is about when you tune into an item, sometimes it's good to try and work out what the person looked like or looks like, depending if they're alive or past. Did it have other owners? Or, you know, you might just think, oh, this person who owns item is very gentle, or they're angry, or they're, you know, they're, well, obviously this is more female than a male, but if it's an item that's a bit nondescript, you sort of decide whether it's a male energy or a female energy. But I just thought, have a look at this. So there's some sort of, and look, I'll show you the item in real time. I'll just stop the share for a minute so you can see it there, just so that you can see it. It's only quite little, so it's a bit hard with my camera. Trying to put it there to make it not blurry, but it's just a little tiny ring, so you can see that. All right, what I will give you is, I'll put the slide back up so that you can see the questions, and I'll just get you to sit there. I'm not going to say anything. Just let you to sit there. So if I give you 5 minutes, is that enough? Is that too long, do you think, or is that all right to give you, say, 5 minutes to just sit and just imagine even holding the piece, you know, feeling it in your hand. I know it's hard because it's not physical, but ask spirit to help you with this, and just see if any of the questions there, if any of them pop into your head. If they don't, that doesn't matter. If you get nothing, that's fine as well. You might just get a feeling of happiness, or you might just get a color, whatever that is. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you sit there for 5 minutes and tune in. Now, how are we all going? Does it feel like anything's coming through? Because like this is an experiment really for me to see how you're picking things up as well. So how is it? Do you pick up anything? Do you feel anything? Or you are? Oh, that's exciting. I was asking my guides to just help change the way the information came through. Do you feel you've had enough time to tune in? No? Do you want a few more minutes? Okay, all right. Well, do you want to put the image back up for you to see? Is that better? Okay. All right, so I'll do that, and I just hope you're not hearing my dog snoring in the background here. Can you? Oh, thank goodness. I've been more worried about that because he's sitting there. He's very old, and he's snoring away, and that's all I can hear. And I thought, you poor people. So okay, well, I'll put the screen back up. So I'll give you another say. I'll give you another say. Is 3-4 minutes? Is that enough, or do you want a bit longer? It's up to you. Okay, all right, I'll put it back up and I'm not going to talk and I'll just let you tune in and see what happens. How are we feeling? I can see some worried faces there. I hope I haven't given you something too hard. Now, one of the things too, I should have mentioned this before, it's hard because sometimes what we see is what we think it is. So it's a matter of, and it's about just information you get. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but then it does. I'll talk to you a bit more about the literal side of it when we go to the photograph in a minute. But how would you want to do this? Do you want me to tell you about the item and then you tick off things, or do you want to tell me what you've got? What's better? All right. Okay. So where does this ring come from? It's been made in Australia here. It was made for my daughter. So that her grandmother gave it to her for her 18th birthday. The diamond in the middle was one her grandma gave her, but my daughter likes vintage things, so it's based on a vintage ring. So if you're getting vintage, that's why it's from the Art Deco period. So it was a gift, and it was made for her 18th. It's a ring. It's made of metal, but it's made of white gold, but that doesn't matter. It's you know, or platinum, you might call it platinum. I think it's 14 carats. So, you know, that's not, it's sort of, it might be something you pick up, might not be. It was made by a jeweler. The owner is my daughter, who's now 25, but so she got it when she was 18. So it's 7 years old. It's not really about the age. I just sort of gave you random sort of questions to sort of get you started. It's only had one owner. And what does it mean? There's a little heart on either side. So that's from her grandma and her poppy. So that's what that's there for. And did it feel hot or cold to you when you tuned in? So I don't know if anybody felt any heat or cold. Did you feel happy? Did you feel sad? Did you feel excited? You know, or is it really loved? You know, things like that are some of the things that you might pick up. Let's go back. So how do you think you went with that? Did it make sense? Did it? And it is hard. It's a really hard thing because you can't hold it. So yeah, so I feel really sorry for you because it's been a bit testing.
So just a question, can I clarify something? Did you say the ring was from the grandmother that was from her ring?
No, the grandmother gave her the ring, but it was made from a style from the art, you know, the Art Deco period, but it's a brand new ring. It's just made from a,
right.
Yeah. So it's made, it was a design she liked, but it's from that period. But no, it was these stones from grandma. So grandma had a diamond, and she.
Because I picked up the grandmother. I picked up the grandmother. I don't know if it's right, but it was handed down to a daughter, platinum engagement, and I put engagement from a husband. Was that correct?
No, it's kind of the rings from the stones from grandma, and it's based on an engagement ring. So yes, so it's not, it hasn't been one passed through the family. Just the stone has, the center stone, but it was.
Oh, so well, the stone wasn't in a ring.
No, it was just
okay.
One.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yep,
so
thank you.
I know it's a hard one, and I felt really bad because I was thinking, what is there that I have that I could give you that could. Yeah, it was because some of the stuff was obvious, and not everyone wears jewelry around here. Oh yes, Philip, what did you want to ask?
What does grandma look like?
Yeah,
grandma. All right. Let me see if I can get grandma up. See if I can get her on my phone. Oh, I might have to go onto my computer and I'll have to share that. I haven't got a picture over here.
Hair color.
Hair. Okay, so she's got hazel eyes. She's got short hair to here, and it's permed. And sort of light hair. She's only a slight build. She's elderly now. She's 91 now. Very kind lady. And yeah, I'll find an image, and I'll put her up for you. Sorry, come on. Yes, Robert.
Debbie, did she like dogs?
Yes, she does.
It's because when you mentioned the dog, it was so funny, and I just wrote, oh, she really liked dogs, and so I wrote that down as well. So that was interesting when you brought the dog in.
Yeah, oh, she loves the dog. She carries him everywhere. He's her baby. So yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting because you might find the personality of the owner or the person who gave it to them, or just it could be that they like eating ice cream. You might just get random stuff and you think, why do I suddenly want to eat ice cream? Or you might smell a perfume. So you get all these different things. How did you go? Did you see things? Did you hear things? Did you feel them? So did you get all of those things or some?
I just felt it.
You just felt it? Yeah, and I think for me, when I first started to do psychometry, I didn't see everything straight away. So the more you practice it, the better it will become. So it'll open up the clues. So you might get one particular clear opening, or it could be a gut feeling to start with now, or you might hear something. But then the more you practice, then they all start to join together and be one big sort of psychic experience. So that's part of doing this. That's why I put the information about the clairs, because there's all these different ones, and sometimes one will work stronger over the other. I hope you're finding this fun. I'm a bit worried, but because I know it's a little bit difficult. Yes, Kylie?
I had the name Josephine pop in. Does that fit anywhere?
No.
J name?
No, I'm sorry. It's that would be on my nana's side. But that's nothing to do with it. But then this is something that can happen too when you tune in, because if you're tuning into a family member, then another family, it's like a doorway. So sometimes what I say is I get a crossover, and it's kind of like they see the doors open, and sometimes one will come in and another one will bust in over the top, and then it can confuse you. So yes, the Josephine is my grandmother, and that she's, yeah, so the lady that gave this to my daughter is my husband's mother, but my grandmother, yes, she was Mary Teresa Josephine, and she went through had all these names. So yeah, and she's really cheeky and a bit strong. So I think she was busting over to get through, to get it, because I couldn't find a photo of her last night, and I was going to use her instead. So that's why that's happened.
Well, that's interesting, because I did have mother's side written down as far as the ring goes. She's not from overseas, is she?
No, her family's, they would be English way back, but yeah, she's very Australian. Yes.
Okay, that's
and
very
I think
interesting.
Might put you off with the ring because of the style of the ring as well, because it's an older style ring for a young person to have. Yeah, she loves vintage stuff, so that's why she had that. So
I mean, I had 1918 down, so it may be more around your grandmother. Maybe I was into. Who knows?
yeah, well, the ring comes. That's the designs from 1918. So that's what's about the ring. Yeah,
okay.
so it wasn't made in 1918, but that's when that's what it was from, because she found it on an old antique site of the ring design, and then took it to the jeweler and got it made. So that's what that's for.
Well, it's very interesting. You don't know what I thought I had so much wrong, but in some ways it was right, but it's sidestepped.
And I think you just have to trust what you get and just write it down, and it'll make sense to the owner. So, and Amanda, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I was just saying I ended up going to the grandmother who gave her the diamond, and into the appearance, mostly clairvoyantly, and then a little bit into the husband as well, but mostly her appearance and her personality.
Yeah, she's a gorgeous lady, and I won't say anything more for the moment. You'll understand later. So yeah, I'll see if I can, when you're doing your when you're tuning in, I'll try and find an image to put up for you. So what I'm going to, I can give. Do you want to do a photograph next, or do you want to do another item? Because I've got 2 more things for you. If we can
Do a photo.
The photo, okay, we'll do the photo. That's a different way of looking at it. So with the photo, always tune into the eyes, but I'll get the screen up and show you the photo. All right. So with the photograph, it's really important when you use the photograph to really tune into the person's face, their energy, their eyes, to see whether they feel alive or if they've passed away, and try and feel their personality traits. It's almost like as though you're talking to them. So are they a happy person, depressed person, active, shy, loud? You might get a smell around them as well, the type of work they used to do. So someone, if they work with their hands, I will see hands coming up to me as likely doing a trade or something. But definitely, I always ask for an image of a person who, when I'm seeing their eyes clearly, if they're wearing glasses, they need to be clear glasses. But if they're wearing sunglasses, I find that's much more difficult. Or if they're turning to the side, that's a lot harder as well. I've only given you an image with one person in the photo because it's easier to tune in. Sometimes you might be given an image with 5 people in the photo. So pick the photo, or pick the image in the photo of the person that jumps out to you jumps out or speaks to you the loudest. You may see the symbology again. Some people say that they prefer to work with a original photograph. For me, a digital photo doesn't matter, but sometimes if you hold the photo because other people have held it, it might have writing on the back of it, or it might have been sitting in a box in a house somewhere, and so it's picking up the psychometry of the location as well. So that's another side to look at. But I think everything's pretty digital these days, so I'm sort of happy to work that way, but you need to discern with that how that works. Again, write everything down. So I'll just give you this gentleman here, and these are just examples. You don't have to find all of these answers to these questions, but I shall leave you. I'll give you 5 minutes again and just see if any of these things make, you know, if you might get a name, you might get an initial. Some, look, to be perfectly honest, I don't always get names. I get more personality traits, or what they look like, or what they like doing, what their tastes are, things like that. So please don't think I'm testing you for anything. These are just ideas of information that may pop into your head. So I'll let you sit for 5 minutes again and just see if you pick up anything on this gentleman here. One of the things I sometimes find when I am tuning in this way is that I might see little glimpses of the person's life. So sometimes they might show me a happy time in their life, or you know, that and a significant event, their birthday or a holiday, things like that, or just seeing family members. So have a little look to see where any of that comes in as well. So through this one person, you might see other people, you may not. So just be open to what appears, or any symbols. Sometimes you get numbers, which might be the year they're born, or their birthday, or the day they passed away. There's all different things. So, you know, I'll just leave you be, but I just thought I might throw that in for you. Okay, how are we all going? Do you feel you've had enough time? Okay, just nod your head if you feel you've had enough time, and I'll come back to you. So, okay. All right, so I will stop this share now and I'll see how we're going. So how did you feel with that? Did you feel, was that a bit easier or was that even harder? Not sure.
I don't know until you tell us what about
No
him.
worries. Okay, no, I was just nod your head. I know it's hard because I forget you can't all talk back to me, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's right. So okay, right. Well, I'll put him back on there, and I'll show you. So okay, so this gentleman, he's my father-in-law. His name's Robert Malone. That's his initials. So he's married. He's passed away. He passed away 7 years ago. He had 3 children, and his personality traits, he was a pretty quiet sort of person, very caring, very loving grandfather. He was very tall. He was 6'2", blue eyes. He was an engineer, and he died of pancreatic cancer, unfortunately. So he's passed away. So he lived here in Sydney, in Australia. Any signs and symbols you might have seen, he gives us magpies. So he comes to us as a magpie. So black and white bird for anyone who's not in Australia here. Any colours, he loves blue. He's wearing a blue shirt that he liked to wear blue. I don't know if you saw any numbers or anything. He was born on the, I can't remember. I think it's the 18th of February. I should remember that. I'm a bit naughty, so that didn't help me very much, did it? And I've got a picture here of the lady. I'll stop the share now. So the lady that we were talking about before, that's his wife. So the grandma. So if anybody wants to see, that's the grandma you might have been picking up before. That's his wife, Enid. And this is the the owner of the ring. That's my daughter, Shannon. So I don't know if I know it's hard because it's family. I was just trying to find something that I could get you to look at, to read. But so how did you go? Did any of that make sense to you? Did information that come through? How do you feel you found him come through? Did you hear him talk to you, or did you just see glimpses around him, or did you see any symbols? So yes, Susie.
Yeah, Debbie, I got that he was a thinker and that he's got, he had really good sense of humor, but could be a little bit cheeky, and
Yes.
that he was very careful in life. There was nothing, like there was no gambler in him. He was cautious and would look at all sides of things, and then decide on his action. I do feel also that he had several different jobs in his lifetime.
Exactly, spot on. That's everything's correct there. Yeah, he did have quite a few
Right,
jobs.
thank you.
He was very careful. Yeah, my mother-in-law used to say, yeah, she wanted to buy a block of land. He went, no. And once he called a spade, but he was very, very cheeky.
I write that down too. That's the last comment I've got on here, that he calls a spade, not a shovel.
Yeah, exactly. I know when I first got married, the first present the first Christmas I was with him, he bought my husband some stubby shorts and a shovel for Christmas. And I thought, what a boring present. Because my husband's a carpenter. But yeah, he definitely even bought him a shovel. So there you go. Did anyone else? Okay, Alan, what would you like to ask?
Yeah, I put down that he was, his wife had passed. Is that correct?
No, she's not very well.
Okay. And I had down three children, and I had down mechanical engineer.
Yep.
And apart from liking blue, I had down blue stroke green for colour that he might have liked. Yeah, and I had down that he was a hard worker and a family man, and he might have had a bit of a religious orientation in some way.
He did, because his father his grandfather was supposed to be a priest, and then he stopped. he didn't go into the priesthood, and then hence there was, I think there's 8 children. So yeah,
I'm
yes,
priest. I got that right.
yeah. Gee, you guys are amazing. See, I think
What
the
were the
photos are easier to
children?
read this way. And sorry, Philip, what did you want to
What
say?
were the children? I got 2 boys and a girl.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, he's had older,
Well
older
done,
daughter,
Paul.
and then 2 sons. Yes.
Is there a building, a 2-story brick building on a hill? I kept seeing it was on a hill and it's 2 stories. I got the feeling it was a barn, but it was too nice to be a barn, so I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, he where they've built their house, there it's brick foundation, but it looks like it's 2 stories. That he built that house, but in the back they lived in the garage first, so that would have been like the barn. So it started off as, you know, the garage, and then they ended up building the front of the house. But he always wanted a brick house, but it's more brick foundations. But yeah, it looks like it's 2 stories from the street.
And
So,
milk,
it is
I
on
kept
the hill.
hearing the word milk. Does that have any relevance to anything?
Milk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he loved milk. That's something, you know, that if the kids wouldn't eat their dinner, he'd give them glasses of milk no matter what. So he'd always, yeah. He'd feed them ice cream for dinner if they wouldn't eat dinner. But when they were, when his kids were little, he wouldn't let they'd have to eat everything, even if it was dead cold off the plate. He spoiled our kids rotten. But yeah, milk was everything. It's like, here's some milk, will fix you up. So yeah,
Okay.
He came from the country as well. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you guys.
I felt hot, Debbie. I got a real heat within my body. So I don't know what that was.
I think that was probably picking him up in the end, because he had radiation and chemotherapy, but it didn't work.
Right.
And after that, he was always hot, and he was never like that before. So yes, I think that's what picking up before he passed away.
And is there just a history of from the Somme war from his family?
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
there's
sorry, you go ahead.
No, that's all right.
His father went to war, and there's sort of pictures for his dad was in the Navy. His father was very cheeky, and we've been finding all this history out about him now. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I felt that he was interested in like family, like if I said ancestry.com, that like he was very interested in his family from where they come from.
He is, yeah, definitely. That's spot on. Yeah, and my mother-in-law does family history. There's a whole room dedicated to it, and so yeah, that's very spot on. Wow, this is so exciting. Yes, Kylie.
Can I just ask how old he was when he passed? I had 73.
No, he was 82. I think 82.
Okay. Is there any connection to England as well?
Yes. Yes, his family comes from England and Ireland.
Because I got the Sydney, but I just felt that there was English around him.
Yeah, both sides, both my mother and father-in-law, and yeah, they travelled to England quite a lot to follow up the family history. So yeah. Okay.
Was he self-employed?
Sometimes. So he had some different sorts of jobs. The last job he worked was at the Sydney County Council in the electricity section.
Oh, because I've got an electrician. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, well, he did. He did electrical engineering and then normal engineering. He was pretty good. He did a lot of different trades. Worked in a brick pit. He's done lots of things. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. You're amazing. I think, did you find the photo easier than the jewellery? I thought so. That's how I've been doing my readings since COVID, is doing it straight through the photographs. And then I find also that maybe even investing in learning in numerology is another area that can open you up to the clairs. So there's a book that I bought years ago. It's called Zillions. Might be here. Oh, here it is. This is my most favourite book in the world. So it's called Zillions, hang on, by Titania's Book of Numerology. It's a bit hard to get now. So you may be able to get it off Amazon or some of the secondhand book sites. I used to be in the Mind Body Spirit book club, and then I didn't want the book of the month, but it came, and I was a bit cross, and I was going to send it back, and then Spirit said, no, open it up, and it's quite colourful. You know, it's really quite easy to sort of work through. There are lots of other numerology books, but this one I just seem to have got. So, you know, it's goes into depth about things. But if you want a numerology book, this is something that I don't know, it just clicked. And now when I do a reading, I do tune in for the photographs, and I'll do some automatic writing, but then I'll also do the numerology as well, because it's about doorways. Because now we have to find other doorways. If we can't physically touch things, we need Spirit to still work with us, but just to find a different way to enter. So that for me is a way. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. You'll need to experiment and see what happens, and also really start to focus on the symbology and the imagery, and even just looking back over your notes today and sort of saying, okay, well, I picked it up this way, or I smelt this, or I felt this, or it's more a gut feeling to you at the moment. If that happens, it's fine. It's not a problem. It's however you work with your guides, or if you feel your guide's telling you something. And so, Kylie, you know, with the age, the 7, or just getting the 73, don't be put off with that, because I have things like that, and I think, oh God, what's wrong? You know, why didn't I get that? That it might be something I've missed, that something significant happened at 73. You know, so I'm just thinking back on that. But yeah, sometimes it's about the confirmation. But always, I think always say and feel, say everything you see, feel and hear, because it'll make sense to the person, or it might make sense later. I've had clients ring me back and go, you know what, the other day you said such and such and I didn't get it. And then they go, oh yeah, but I checked with mum and that was right. You know, there's no wrong or right way to do this. It's just a matter of fine tuning it and working with your spirit team. I think that's the most important thing. But I hope you've had fun with me today. I've had fun working with you. But, does anyone want to ask me any questions or anything? Are you all good? Yes, Philip?
When you're doing psychometry with an object, are you getting information from spirit, or your spirit guides, or the energy from the object, or all of the above?
I think all of the above.
Okay.
Because, and I find when I do this, it does open me up to the mediumship, because when I'm holding something, suddenly if I'm looking at the person, even if I'm doing it via the screen, usually for me, the right side is your mother's side, the left side is the father's side, but the left side can be the partner's side. And sometimes if someone's younger, it's like I see a family tree. So the family tree, that someone's younger, they'll be standing in front of me if they're younger than me. If they're older than me, they'll be higher. But it's just the way my guides come through, you know, so it's just working that out. But yeah, definitely, I think all of those things work together. And sometimes it's hard to discern. It's almost like I said, playing charades. You're getting a bit here and a bit there. You've got to pull them all in. And sometimes I even liken it to seeing a cyclone or a tornado. And you're seeing all this imagery all floating around your head. You've got to grab onto one of the objects and focus on the strongest information, and then the rest of the information will follow on.
Well, I loved it.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed her the last time she was here, and thank you for coming and doing this. I mean, this is great. I hate we only have an hour.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I didn't know exactly how long. I was trying to work out. I wanted to give you enough time to actually tune in. There's no point doing it and going, oh my God, that was hopeless, I didn't get anything. But just practice.
Well, what I'm thinking, if everybody's interested, in 2 weeks' time, we don't have a speaker scheduled, but if everybody would like to bring along a photograph, we could do some practice psychometry with photographs, because you will know the answers to your photographs, and we can either put you into pairs and you can get lots of photographs that way, or we can, whoever has, we'll see how many photographs we have and we can do it as a group. Everybody interested in that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that'll be 2 weeks from today at the same time. So we'll let you know how we get on, Deb. Deborah, thank you so much. That was such a fabulous, fabulous session. And I think this video is going to be so useful. I know I've got people in the Netherlands, I've got people in England who can't be here today, and they say, oh, please, please put the video up. We would love to share this as well. So you've got a fan club all over the world.